But do you know who's not a rookie? We're actually joined with a guest today called Jammerz, who has got all the ins and outs of Street Fighter. How are you, Jammerz?
What's going on, guys? First of all, thank you very much for having me on the show. Pleasure to meet you. Yeah, do you know what? Feeling good, and it's always good to talk about Street Fighter each and every day.
Absolutely. Well, you're gonna literally give us all the inside scoop on it, I'm sure. But I mean, Street Fighter 6, let's kind of kick straight in. It's looking like something of a departure from the previous entries in the franchise. So, what exactly are they going to be doing differently with Street Fighter 6? Do you think that's going to really kind of reel people in?
All right, so I'll try and keep this as concise as I can.
It's a big question, right?
I've actually spoken to multiple people within the community and out of the community about this. So with the current title we have now, Street Fighter 5, it's in its closing stages. Only about 4 months of the game remain. And the game, in retrospect, was designed for the community as an esports game. That's the best way to look at it, simply because there were two things you did when you jumped on the game. You either went in training mode to practice scenarios and get better at the game, or you jumped online. There was nothing, no single player content, no deep or rich single player content. It was just something aiming towards being competitive. With Street Fighter 6, that's a video game. There's a difference between an esports game and a video game. A video game has the single player content, multiplayer aspects, has some fun factors towards it. And I think that's what Street Fighter 6 is going back to. It's going back to a video game, which was what people know and love. So that's very good to see.
Do you think it's going to bring in a new audience? Do you think people that maybe kind of shied away from it before might think, oh, actually, Street Fighter 6 is something I'd like to jump on because of this reason?
So something you have to commend Capcom for, I don't think they get enough credit for this, is the fact that every Street Fighter title, if you go back and look, every Street Fighter title has been different from the previous one. So what their aim is, from the jump, it's actually visibly clear. From the jump, you can see them trying to bring in a new audience with a new system, new characters, et cetera, et cetera. But they also kind of knock off an old player base because they were too used to the old system they were dealing with.
That's true.
So, like, just by nature, they are going to bring in more players. I say with how big gaming has gotten, especially with changes over the past 2 or 3 years regarding game development, they're going to bring in a new influx of players. And whether or not they stick around, there's qualities where they will stick around simply because there's another two things I think is what you can make people hooked on your game. Character customization, because everyone loves to put their character customizations on social media and laugh at each other and call them weird names and stuff.
100%.
And then world exploring. You've got Elden Ring. I think you've got the new Harry Potter game coming out soon. So they just want to, run around, ponce around, and then have their own characters. If you do that, you have those in your two factors in your game, I think you're onto something. So that being super significant to keep players in and keep playing, especially with streaming nowadays, you're on the right track for me anyway. That's my personal opinion.
I agree with you. I mean, the open world thing in particular, like you were saying, is just so big in gaming at the moment, and people are loving it, and people are getting used to that as well. So I think it's quite interesting to bring that in. But the game developer obviously said the game must expand beyond winning and losing. What do you think that kind of means? I mean, what would you kind of interpret from that?
Oh, right. I have to, okay, I'm going to try and be nice about this. Because winning and losing happens everywhere you go. And what it is there's competitiveness and there's people who don't like competitiveness and they don't want that kind of like sneaking into their gaming sessions. So that's a big thing. And it's like, if someone tells you they don't like competition, I hate to break it to you, they're kind of lying because they're competing for jobs and everything every day.
Absolutely.
So you're competing in some form of in some sense of the word, but they just don't want it everywhere they go. So trying to expand upon just winning and losing, that's great, because sometimes you want to turn on the game, turn your brain off, and just have a good time. You don't want to be forced to face someone. Kind of like involuntarily you're fighting someone. It's like, nah, I don't want to do this. And it kind of deters you and pushes you away. So going back to the roots of making it an actual video game so people don't have to compete when they don't want to, give them the option, just don't force them to do it. That's a very big deal for a lot of people. And again, another reason why they might actually be able to captivate and keep people playing this game.
Absolutely. I mean, how do you think that is going to kind of change up, you know, for the professional space and, you know, the pro gamers who are, you know, Street Fighter, they kind of go to the events and they play and all that kind of stuff. Like, how do you think this game is going to change that up, obviously, because if it's a different format, do you think it's going to change the way the game kind of gets done competitively?
If, for the pro players, at least the ones I know, it's their job.
Yeah.
And every day you've got to expand to new tasks and work with new people in your job.
Very true.
They will find a way to make this work. Trust me, they will do it. I think some of them, at least from what I've seen so far, some of them aren't completely on board with the new design and the new mechanics of Street Fighter 6. Others are welcoming it with open arms. So there's a little bit of 50-50 there.
Yeah.
It won't affect them too hard, I don't feel, at least from what I'm seeing in just plain sight here. With casual players probably wanting to jump into this space or mixing in with pro players, I think that's going to be down to them. That's very subjective because each and every person, one person will say, you know, I actually want to get involved with the competitive scene, the competitive community. Yeah. Other people's like, you know what, I'll stay in my lane, create my custom character, you know, Orange Lightning 72, and then we'll call it a day when I'm done with the world experience. So I think it will be... We're definitely going to get more people and a new generation of competitive players, but I don't think there's going to be too much of a discourse within the community in terms of both pros and the casuals. So,
absolutely. Well, that's good to know because obviously sometimes when a game kind of changes, it does kind of change, or people want to get involved with the game as well, doesn't it? So that's quite cool. I mean,
you know what? The best time. Sorry to cut you off there. The best time to get involved with these games is right at the start, because you know you go through that honeymoon phase, that honeymoon period. You got about 2 weeks to decide because remember you're spending a lot of money on these games. You've got about 2 weeks to decide, am I going to stick around this? If you do, then it probably expands to 1 or 2 months. After that, make your decision. If you want to drop it, you drop it. If you want to continue, welcome to the club. So.
That's it. Well, welcome with open arms. We'll take you in. I mean, Jammerz, I was going to ask, what's your skill set like on Street Fighter? Where would you kind of place yourself on the old Street Fighter range?
I'm capable. I think
do it.
Maybe a lot of people think I downplay myself or I'm a bit too modest. I can play the game, but to a degree that's just below the highest level of the game, because part of my job is playing the game with these guys and understanding what they're doing, so I'm able to talk about it when I'm actually doing my commentary job around the world. But I just don't have that winning mindset to win a championship per se. I'm just like, oh, this is what you do. I can tell you how to do things and I can play to a decent level, but I can't tell you how to win, because there's a difference between telling someone how to play and telling someone how to win. I don't have the latter. So I can be fairly decent. Yeah,
that's all you need. As long as you can beat your mates, that's all you need sometimes, isn't it? It's like, you know what?
I'm the best player in my household.
There you go. Look, that's an accolade in itself, so you can take that, literally. So where do you kind of see the future of Street Fighter going? I mean, obviously 6 has kind of like put a different spin on it. Where do you kind of see the franchise kind of going in the future?
Ooh.
It's quite a big question. It's hard to say, I suppose, as well.
Because we can't predict the future. And I think one thing, this is just nostalgic me anyway. One thing I'd want is what happened with the community and the game pre-pandemic, what they're building towards that. But because they're kind of knocking the blocks down from before and rebuilding again, it's hard to say where it's going to go. The game itself, I can only see it like progressing rapidly in a positive sense. How it will affect the community, I don't know, because we actually don't even have any news in terms of if the game's actually going to be supported by the developers in a competitive environment, or they're just going to treat it like a video game, sell their 5 million copies, and wrap it up and work on the next title. We really don't know. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we have a very good launch for Street Fighter 6 after the disaster Street Fighter 5, and then we can just look it up from there.
Oh, brilliant. Well, Jammerz, thank you so much for joining me on the show. Honestly, that's been great for me because I'm quite of a rookie when it comes to Street Fighter, so it's great to have your opinion on it all, and good luck with your competitiveness as well. I hope you carry on building your skills and beating your household.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Cheers. Thank you.